Following on from the knit stitch, we're now going to look at the purl stitch. Before we look at this purl stitch though, let us have another look at the knit stitch, because it's very interesting to see where the stitches on the left needle, as you work them, where they are positioned when you move them to the right needle. This is a knit piece of work, and we'll have a look at the knit stitch again. You take your needle, insert it from front to back into your stitch, take your yarn down below the needle, and bring it back through. You then slip the stitch on the needle and it is behind your right hand needle. Insert, wrap, bring it out and slip the stitch off. And if we turn it, you will see that the bumps, as we call them, or the stitches you have just worked, now sit at the back of your work. And that is a key feature of knit stitches. Keeping that in mind, we'll now look at the purl stitches, the way it is made, and then how the stitches are positioned after you finish making the stitches. With purl stitches, the first thing to note is the position of the yarn. You'll see here when I insert for the knit stitch, my yarn is behind my needle. However, when I insert for the purl stitch, I'm doing it from the back of the work to the front of the work, and my yarn is at the front of the work. So it is a different positioning of the yarn, and that's very important when you're changing back and forth between stitches. So the first thing you do is look at where your yarn is positioned. And you'll see that you can't go into the stitch with the yarn behind because you won't be able to work the stitch. You insert your needle from the back of the work to the front of the work, and then wrap your yarn around the stitch. You bring your needle out and catch the wrapped yarn as you did with the knit stitch and bring off the stitch from the left needle. So you insert your needle tip from front to back, bring your yarn around below the needle towards you, and then slip your needle out, grasping the thread of yarn, and slip off the needle from the left hand side. We'll do that again. In from the back, yarn out, over, under, towards you, then bring the tip of your needle out, making sure that you can see the wrap on it, then bring it through and slip the stitch off. Insert your needle, bring your yarn around the needle towards you, slip the tip out, and pull off the stitch on the left. And that is your purl stitch. And you will see here, in comparison to the knit stitches that we looked at earlier, when you slip the stitches off your left needle, the bumps of the stitches come to the front of the work. You can find more information on the front and back of your work in the booklets that go with this class. So again, we're going to look at the knit stitches again. And you can see that the stitches are slipped off and they go to the back of the work. And that's a key difference between knit and purl stitches. And it's also the first step in learning how to read your knitting. The final point to note when you're purling your stitches is that as you go forward to wrap the yarn, either from above or below, depending on how you have decided you want to hold your needle, your yarn is still tensioned through your right hand in the very same way as if you were doing knit stitches. So we'll see that where you hold the needle from above as well. You wrap the stitch and you bring it out. So regardless of which way you hold, you're still holding your yarn tensioned in your hand and you are purling your stitches. We'll now look at combining knit and purl stitches together.